Hi, hello, welcome back to Bioenergetics. My name is Devraj, and I wanted to look today at a question I often get asked. People say, I'm pretty flexible. They say, I'm really flexible and I do yoga, and do I really need to do bioenergetics? What's it going to give me? I'm already super flexible. And it's quite a big myth around the bodywork scene that flexibility will relate to holding inside or, emotional health or emotional fitness. And actually, it doesn't directly relate to it. It does not directly relate to it. And that might seem a little bit funny because, you're doing bioenergetics and you're putting your body in all these different positions and stuff, and you're becoming a bit more flexible. So surely it makes sense, that flexibility relates to how much trauma we've got held inside, or how much conditioning, how much charge there is in the muscle system, how much energy is bound up in our muscles. But it doesn't really, and there's a reason for that, and that reason is to do with characterology, which is what, if you've been following this series recently, I've been doing some episodes on different Reichian character stereotypes. And what you will see with some of them in particular, some are rigid, and some are rigid and are rigid physically. What's confusing is some are rigid personality types, but are not actually rigid physically. But nevertheless, that was how it was created. If we look at a phallic narcissist male, or we look at a so-called hysterical female, they are rigid personality types. Their upper body in particular is very rigid. There's likely to be rigidity elsewhere. And for them to get more flexible will be useful. What it really means about rigidity is that the stuff is held on the surface. It's on the surface. It's on the surface of the muscles. The place where the binding is happening is close to the surface. If we look at, say, the endurer stereotype, then you'll see also a lot of the time the musculature has developed because an invasion wound went in very, very early, usually from the parents. And so their muscles, they're quite muscle bound. And that creates a rigidity because the muscles have developed to suppress emotionality. They've developed to suppress emotionality. So they can be kind of rigid and a bit bound and caught up in their thing. And so they're kind of rigid. But there are people who, particularly some orals and certainly passive feminine males from the rigid category, who often, they're not very rigid. They're not rigid. In fact, their body, passive feminines, they may be incredibly flexible. They may be able to bend over all over the place. But that's because the trauma is buried deeper, where the binding has gone on of the past, where the shock and the traumatic shock has gone in, is bound deep inside the deepest layer of musculature. So you might be able to massage someone from that character type and they feel super soft and fluffy and flexible and everything, but there's still huge trauma inside. It's just buried deeper below the surface. Likewise, sometimes with orals, they don't have so much affect if you're super oral, and but it can be a little bit similar. They may be super flexible, but they can't really feel so much, or whole areas of their feeling sense is cut off. And something also to mention, as I mentioned with the characterology videos, most people these days are not super in one category. They may be in a variety of categories, or have elements of 4 or 5 different categories, different character structures in them. But I wanted to make this video just to kind of clear things up a little bit with flexibility, because you may be fantastic at yoga and really doing it great and stuff like that, but that doesn't really mean that you've cleared stuff out, particularly if you're from certain character types. If you know that you're kind of passive feminine, then you will need to work quite deep with bioenergetics in particular to try and get certain muscle groups open and releasing the past. Simply doing yoga postures will probably, it's not doing you any harm, but on an emotional level, in terms of, really overcoming the past and the old habits and stepping forward into masculinity, you're going to need to work with bio or with more confrontational therapeutic approach that brings direct emotions out. Okay, I hope this has been a coherent video. If you're interested in all of this stuff, then do check out Bioenergetics The Journey, the 52-week online course, which you can do at whatever rate you want, and which will explain a lot more depth and detail, and with exercises, how we clear all these old patterns out. Speak to you later.